Those of you who attended the opening plenary session would have heard its chairman, Johan Sandberg, share his personal philosophy, and I noted it down because I was quite inspired by it. He said, inspiration unlocks the future, and technology then catches up with it. And several subsequent speakers have referred back to that statement, which I think was really very profound. And from your presentation, Andrew, it's quite clear that your leadership of Catapult is providing the enthusiasm for the inspiration that is going to give us the innovation that we need to take it forward. And I've personally been very inspired by the whole succession of presentations. We do still have some time for questions, and I would like to understand from the AV people where the roving microphone has got to, please, and if we have somebody that could pass it around. And in the meantime, while that's on its way down to me, oh yes, I've got somebody actually holding it. If I could see an indication of those who would like to pose a question or answer Hugh's. But anybody got an answer to Hugh's question about how we know the sun is rising and not setting? We know. Shh. Panel is excluded. I'm going to send the microphone in the first instance to the gentleman. I'm afraid I can't see you, but when you receive the microphone, would you give us in a nice, loud, clear voice your name and your company, please?
That's one of the reasons, yeah. There are two other reasons why you can tell.
Oh, well,
So well done.
We've got 1 out of 3, so if you put your hand up with it, I'll ask you if it's to answer another part of Hugh's question. So, where else? Any more? Is it Max? Okay, can we send the microphone over to Max, please, in a light-coloured jacket towards the end, halfway down here? And I know who you are, Max, but can you tell everybody else, please?
Sure. It's Max Carcass with Kailulu. Question really about the cost of energy, and clearly, technically, we have to do everything we can to drive down the cost of offshore wind energy. But I was wondering also, in terms of public mind, the kind of price that people see when people see that £93 per megawatt hour for nuclear over 35 years, and yet the CFD is only doing 15 years for offshore wind. Clearly, it would make a big difference to that number if that CFD was 20 or 25 years. Is that something that's just not on the agenda at the moment, or is it something that perhaps you might want to look at? Because I think for the man on the street, that headline number is what they understand. What they don't understand is the difference of discounted cash flows and lifetimes of PPAs.
Thanks.
Just one thing on the sun. It's because you can't see the land behind the wind farm.
Correct.
All right, we've got 2 out of 3. Well done, Max. Max, I'm going to invite Adam to be the first to respond, and then if any other members of the panel would like to contribute to the response. So, Adam, would you like to take the first stab at responding to Max's question, please?
Thank you, Maria. Absolutely, Max. I suppose my focus, speaking on this panel of the programme board, is on our sector, our part of the low-carbon sector, and we have a clear imperative to, which we can and will do for many of the reasons that you heard, particularly from Hugh and Hub and from Andrew, to reduce the levelized cost of energy. I think I have 2 responses in addition to that. One is Siemens are undertaking a very interesting piece of work at the moment, which I think is sort of semi-public. So if there's anybody from Siemens here who feels I'm breaching their confidentiality, stick their hand up now and I'll stop. But they're doing a very interesting piece of work on the levelized cost of energy, or what they call the social cost of energy, across a range of all energy technologies. And the really interesting thing is that they're taking data from within Siemens. So not only wind, where they're clearly a market leader, other forms of low carbon generation, but their existing fossil parts of the business that are supporting the fossil industries, and their healthcare business, which is enormous and having to deal with some of the externalities of fossil generation. Let me just leave it at that. So it's that kind of broader comparison which I think we're going to see more of, which is more public-facing. And the second, I would think I'm going to chuck this question back to Maria. It's very deftly passed across to me, because this is more about a trade association role to make the case for a basket of technologies which RUK do, both in terms of wind, wave, tidal, and now tidal lagoon, I see, all of which will have a role, and all of which are at different stages in their maturity. But from the perspective of the programme board, we have a very clear focus, not just to get to £100 per megawatt hour or the £85 that Hugh is aiming at, but to go beyond that, because I think, as I said, I don't want to get to 2021 and say, right, job done. This is about a transformative opportunity. You look out to 2050, whichever pathway you look down, offshore wind has a very significant opportunity. And to get there, we need to satisfy Carolyn and her colleagues that we're providing value for money to the British consumer, however that valuation is arrived at.
Thank you very much, Adam. And all the members of the panel have indicated to me that they'd like to contribute to the response to that question. So I'm going to make sure everybody stays really brief. But I will use the opportunity, since it has been passed back to me, to just assure everyone, especially members of Renewable UK, that getting four-square support for renewable energy stitched into the election manifestos of the three main political parties is a primary overarching strategic objective, and it's where we are committing our resources and so on and so forth. And a central element of our ask is what we are projecting we will be able to do on costs, because we recognise that as very, very key in the whole election process and so on. So it's just really a word of reassurance that it's very high on our agenda, and we're taking it very seriously and doing a lot of work in that regard. So thank you for the deflection. Hoob was the second person to indicate that he would like to add something. So can I invite you to make a brief comment? Do you want to switch your microphone on, please, Hoob? And then and so will Hugh and Andrew. Do you want to say anything? Felix?
I think it is a great question, and to me it revolves around the irresistible offer. Now, somebody showed the Hinkley Point nuclear plant on screen here, and it's clear that the developers of that plant have made an irresistible offer to UK society, securing a 35-year contract at a fixed price. When I look forward and I look at round 3 and at the big projects and at, if you like, new energy policies that will come in years ahead, where is that irresistible offer? As Crown Estate, we have offered our leases up for 50 years. Yet the design life and the economic models for turbines, for wind farms, typically run for 20, 25 years. So where is the irresistible offer of the developer with a manufacturer that says, if you government give me, and I will not put a number on the table, but if you will give me a number, I will build and operate that wind farm for a period of 50 years, providing clean, affordable and secure electricity into the UK. I think we've got an irresistible offer. And I'm really looking forward to see that conversation as part of the new energy politics.
Yeah, I think I would go with Hoob's irresistible offer here. Dong Energy is the proud owner of 3 CFD contracts, and although we might like 20 years worth, which is what everyone's been used to, in the global energy market, you're pretty lucky to get a power purchase agreement, which is effectively what this is, for something that lasts even 15 years. So I think what the government has done is got the balance between incentivizing the industry to do something and making sure that it doesn't give contracts which are too inflexible to ensure that innovation continues to happen. Nuclear faces a different set of scenarios, and I think that in order to kickstart build of new nuclear in the UK, it was necessary for the government and EDF Energy to come to an agreement which means that they've got slightly different terms and conditions. But I think it's important to say that whichever technology you like or you choose or the market chooses, in my opinion, as long as you're not burning something, it's good.
Thanks, Hugh. Andrew?
I think it's much simpler for me around this conundrum. We still have to persuade hearts and minds that this is a sector worth pursuing. We have to show, not just talk about, how we're moving down the cost-cutting trajectory. Demonstrate it. Demonstrate the jobs that we're creating. Now, Carolyn mentioned the supply chain strategy within it is building up the supply chain. It's also about skills. And that's why I was saying in my presentation, to achieve all these things takes all of us to do. It's not just a trade association lobbying ministers to talk about this, that, and the other. I think those who have got these other privileged positions are far more eloquently able to pinpoint and point to what they do in terms of the economic value add, which makes it a bit of an easier sell into government. And frankly, we only have to look at the lessons we need to learn from onshore wind, why that's not doing so well. That we really do need to ramp up what we're doing to get this industry far more ingrained into the hearts and minds at all levels, general public right through to politicians. It's for us all to demonstrate, not just to lobby ministers on.
Okay, panellists and ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. I have personally found it an extremely informative and enjoyable hour and a half. Hope you've all learned something that you can will be taking away. I'd like to thank you for your participation in this session. If you're staying for the grand debate between Fergus Ewing and Tom Greatrix, I believe it's in this room and it will be in about 10 minutes' time, starting. So if you are going, farewell, enjoy a good conference. If you're not, please remember this was the first of 3 sessions on offshore wind, so keep an eye on the programme if you want to follow the sequence. And after thanking you once again for your participation in this session, could I ask you finally, in the traditional manner, to join me in thanking our panellists for a very, very good session. Thank you.